When Anthropic released Cowork, it changed how we interact with Claude, making it multiple times more useful. Now, Anthropic has released Dispatch, which changes how we interact with Cowork, making it, again, multiple times more powerful. I think that Dispatch is amazing and it's going to change how I work with Claude, but there are two gotchas that I found. I think that those problems are important to know because it's going to change whether or not you get the things that you want out of Cowork, or you just sit there staring at your computer wondering why nothing's happening. Dispatch is designed to bridge the gap between Cowork on the desktop and Claude on mobile, which is where I think most of us are really using Claude. I'm David, and on this channel I teach creatives how to use AI tools to simply make their lives better, and the new Dispatch feature in Claude Cowork really makes my life better. So there's two problems with Cowork. The first problem is that you have to start and run Cowork from a specific computer. And that's because Cowork uses your system resources like the Chrome browser in order to carry out your tasks. It also needs a place to store the files that you're making inside Cowork, and so it needs a specific device to do that. But a related problem is that a lot of us start our ideation on our phone. We're sitting around, we're trying to think of something to do, and we're like, oh, I got this task that I'd like Claude to do for me in Cowork, but you can't because you're on your phone in a coffee shop or on the train or whatever. So you have to take your notes in something like chat, and then when you get back to your desk, you can read those notes and then put those into Cowork and start to do whatever it was you're thinking of. Dispatch doesn't solve the problem where you need to have one specific computer on which you're running your Cowork tasks. It does solve the problem of sitting in a coffee shop or standing online for groceries and you have this great thing that you want Cowork to do and you can't do anything with it because you're on your phone. And so dispatches are essentially a way to communicate with Cowork to tell Cowork what you want it to do. And the best thing is that it can start doing it on your computer right away. Doesn't matter where you are. I'm going to jump over to my second computer to show this to you. I run another channel. It's a product review channel called Dave Tries This, and I just recently reviewed a 3D printer from a company called Bamboo. And what I want is a report of the top 10 channels sorted by view, along with the name of the channel, the link to the video, the view count, stuff like that. Hit send from the phone. It goes over here to the dispatch section, and you can see the Bamboo P2S top 10 reviews. Before we go through that, there is a tip and there is an issue that I want to go over with you. The first thing is the tip. So if you come over here to the Dispatch tab, click on Dispatch in the sidebar, there are two things here. There's Keep Awake and Allow All Browser Actions. And I recommend that you turn that on because that's going to let things run in Chrome without it stopping to ask you for permissions if it runs into something it doesn't have permissions to do. And that one is related a little bit to the next problem. Dispatch isn't a project, it's its own container for Cowork tasks. And since you're sending it from your phone, it doesn't know where you want to save those files. And so there's two ways that it gives you to access the file. One of those is a link to Google Drive, and that's fine, but you won't be able, obviously, to find that file anywhere on your Mac if you save it to Google Desktop. So normally it would stick the file in a folder, but it can't do that here. So if I come to the link for this file and I copy that and I put it into Safari, you can see that the address is starting on my computer. User is David Schloss, library, application support. Application support is like a preferences folder for each specific application, so it puts files inside there that it needs to run. You do not normally store documents inside that application support file, partially because you can't search for them in the Finder. The library is hidden by default in the Finder, but also partially because you don't want big files filling up that application support folder and you not knowing where they are. So what I asked it for was to move the files to the desktop. And then what it said was, I don't have access to your file system. Let me request permissions. So then I looked at my phone to see if there are any messages there. And the phone was asking me for the permission for the Finder, not Claude on my desktop. What's the takeaway on that? Well, if you're working on something on Cowork you send on Dispatch, you might need to still interact with Cowork on your phone. Just keep that in mind because if you put your phone down on the charger and you don't see that, you can think that Cowork isn't working. I don't know how this works on Windows at all. I don't know where Dispatch leaves its files. If you're working on Windows, can you let me know in the comments below? And if you found any other weird things like this working in Dispatch, can you let me know in the comments below as well? I am David Schloss, and I, for one, welcome our AI overlords.